The 6 to 7 Figure Show, episode 30. Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona. This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Bria.
Everyone, welcome to the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I'm your host, Frank Bria, and I am joined today by my good friend, James Kemp. He has helped over 1,500 people develop the leveraged offers and turn their skills, experience, passion into online businesses in 7 countries over 11 years. He's developed 2 online programs that have both grossed over 7 figures. And the really cool thing is he lives with his family in Bali, Indonesia, and that experience has helped him build a couple wildly popular products, 2 of which have grossed over $1 million in sales, and just a really good, solid family guy. I love your pictures. You got your kids everywhere on your pictures, James.
They're part of our life.
No, of course. No, I mean, that's one of the things that I think, we've talked about this. Your audience gets attracted to that view of the fact that you're able to make this work. Like, you've got a family, you're doing stuff with the family, and you're living in this beautiful location.
Yeah, it's a good place to start, man, because I think when we are growing up, we are introduced to all these concepts of, work-life balance, as if there's this hard line between them.
Right.
But when we're sovereign individuals, when we have passions and interests, and mine happens to be business and people and developing them, what you start to realize over the years that it's not separation, it's integration. And I posted a picture yesterday of our team are in town at the moment. I'm doing some planning sessions, and we have a nanny for our kids, and she's part of the team, and the kids come along. We have another office, and I think this whole, we kind of got to detrain ourselves to get this idea of work-life balance, because to be really good at something, you got to be obsessed. To have a great relationship, you got to be obsessed with that person. To have great family, you got to be obsessed. To have a great business and great offers, you got to be obsessed. So I'm a big believer in integration. That's got its own challenges these days. You don't want your kids to necessarily live a completely public life without their full choice. But I'm a big believer that, work and life can be really, really beautifully integrated. And that's why we live here. That's why we do what we do. And it's a different way of thinking about things, but it's becoming more common, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think that there's a lot of there are a lot of great elements to it. I got to ask though, if you've ever had the moment, did you see that BBC moment a number of months ago where the gentleman's on live video on BBC and his kid walks in the back? Did you see that video at all?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen? Have you had that with the work-life balance really critically?
No, I've always maybe dreamed of it. I can go viral for something that's not to do with the things I spout every day on Facebook Live, but maybe I hope it happens rather than.
That's it.
Yeah, I do think, it's raining outside right now. It's 28 degrees and it's lovely here, but it's raining outside, and I do think this glossy ideal that people are painting in social media, we know it's false.
Right.
We know instinctively it's false. So when those things happen, it humanizes people, right? It's like, well, shit happens. So just got to roll with it.
Yeah, it's true. And there's actually been a lot of discussion about this lately, especially in the entrepreneurial community, online entrepreneurial community, about how Instagram has it's almost like we have this phrase in the States called jumping the shark. It's like, it's gone one step too far, where people have this crazy view of what's going on. Although, that was for years, that was my horrific fear, is that some kid would walk in. We actually had to I hung a closed sign on my office door when I was doing a webinar. It's like, Dad's not open, Dad's closed right now for business.
Yeah.
But still,
I've got some insight into that. One of Cam, who's my head of marketing, he's an extremely talented videographer as well. So we do a lot of video content. And we had this theory maybe that if we did produced Instagram stories, I'm not a big Instagrammer. It's like, I'm 39. It's one of the first technology I feel like it's the first one I feel like I'm missing out on. But we started doing these kind of produced stories. There was some editing, there was some, transitions, there was a little bit of music and things. And you know what, 5, 6 days into it, I got 12 or 13,000 people following me or something like that. People go, we missed you. We just miss you. And so, purely from a marketing point of view, like you got to give people what they want, right? So yeah, I do think we've jumped the shark. We're on the downslope. Real sells. People don't know what to believe anymore, from politics down to, everything in their lives. So people are just looking for something to trust.
Right.
And unless you are real, they're not going to trust you. We've got people have an amazing bullshit filter as well. Like marketers, and especially in the online world, they forget that there's a very intelligent human sitting on the other side of a screen or a pixel or a click.
Who is probably taken the same. Yeah, and that human being has probably taken the same marketing course you have. And they know all the little triggers. I mean, I've been that way. I've sat in someone's live event, and the entire time gone, wait a minute, I know exactly what you're doing right now. So
it's coming. I know what's going to happen next.
Right. Exactly. All right. So let's talk about a bit. So which kinds of entrepreneurs are you really working with? What's kind of that area of expertise for you and your business, your team?
One's with skills and experience. What we've found is our clients have spent a few years serving people. They've tried a few different things. They've probably tried consulting or one-to-one engagements with clients. Maybe they had like 1 to 3 clients and they earned a good living from it, but they didn't feel that rewarding. And on the other end of the spectrum, we've got people who have delivered services. So we work with a lot of creatives like videographers, accountancy practices, and those kind of people who are very human capital intensive. But the common theme with these people is like 2 things. They have a load of experience and skills that is locked up in a business that is only used to delivering things in a very one-to-one, no leverage way. And they want to help people. They just have this desire to set their knowledge free, set their experience free so they can help more people. So what we've got really good at is helping them unlock that knowledge and experience into building offers. And I'm very specific about that because I think there's a lot of myopia about this. You got to do a course, you got to do this and these kind of things.
Sure.
Building offers that allow them to deliver to their clients with leverage. And while they look, in the online world, like programs or those kind of things, they are about, them inserting themselves in their client experience at exactly the right time.
Nice.
So, you know what it's like out there. There's this idea that anybody with no skills, no talent, and no nothing can start a business tomorrow.
Right.
And that's the amazing thing about the internet. It has allowed us to have a voice, have a channel, and those things. Right. But a lot of people myth that every single skills and it's valuable, where really, there's this huge pool of people who are deluded about their skills, frankly, who don't have enough valuable real world experience in helping people. Right. And then there's this huge group of people who are don't understand how much value they're sitting on and don't how much understand that the spreadsheets, the templates, the everything that's sitting in their hard drives and in their brain and they've written on whiteboards for clients and the things they output can be delivered with leverage to people all over the world. And that's what kind of drives me, because there's so many people with so much real world value and experience that we help them unpack and sell to people all over the place.
And that's the irony, isn't it? That like the people with the skill and like you said, like the spreadsheets and the documents and the templates, they're the ones that are sitting around thinking, I've got nothing to offer. And then you have a lot of loudmouths with literally no skill, like going out and trying to do stuff. I mean, not that I believe that entrepreneurship should be.
We can be derisory about people because people want something.
Of course. Like,
but yeah, it is a paradox of the market. Yeah,
it is. And I think that it's cool that you're working with that market, because I think that a lot of those professional services folks are underserved. It's not cool to talk to accountants and lawyers and,
No.
and CPAs, I guess that's a US thing, but you know, all those folks that that really do have a lot of knowledge locked up in their head, and it's hard work, I think, to take that and turn it into an offer. So that's good work that needs to be done. It's way easier to tell everybody to go, you know, take a Facebook ad course and suddenly become a Facebook ads expert. And that's just, you know, it's not a lot. There's a lot more value locked up in those businesses.
There is. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. It's hard to sell. It's really challenging for us to decondition people when the market has said, you must think of things this way. So a lot of people come to us and go, I think I'm building a course. Or a lot of people come to us and say, I think I'm adding on services. Yeah. Or they come to us and say, I'm going to build a $5,000 group program. Yeah. And our first step is to decondition those people and say, all those things might be valid for you. One of these could be valid for maybe all of them over time, but let's understand how your skills, experience, and your desire, because personalities matter when you're working with clients, and your desire to serve, where to put you in that to do it. Do you want me to give you a couple of examples?
Yeah, please.
So I'll give you three. We've got a client who's in New Zealand, and he's delivered kind of cultural training to schools for the best part of 2 decades. So he goes into schools, teaches them minority and cultural acceptance within schools. So his client is kind of school principals, regional school boards, and the New Zealand government. He's used to delivering these things in person.
Sure.
And he's got the material. I mean, how much you've done your 10,000 hours after 20 years, right? Right. And delivering them in schools and other people delivering it. And they've got that real kind of value chain. He said, I want to build an online course. I was like, okay, cool. Because you got the material, it makes sense to do that. But when we actually kind of peel back the onion skin on that, so he's going to sell an online course for a few $100. Yeah. What he really wanted to do was educate the educators so they could educate other people. So very quickly, we've got an offer where we packaged up the same knowledge, the same skills, with an element of access to him for the educators, and then using leverage to distribute the course down to the students. So we've taken a few $100 offer and put it into a $10,000 offer. Right. Here's in rural New Zealand. Some of the places he teaches don't even have broadband connectivity. He just got a client in Arizona. So it's challenging. It takes some time, and we have resource and conversations that we allocate internally to do those things in terms of the client experience. But it's really important for us to scale things, because we know how powerful the internet can be once you let the genie out of the bottle, right? So getting that offer that's not only something that people want to buy, but actually right for this person to deliver and actually drives it forward is far more sustainable and far more powerful.
That's great.
I'll give you a high contrast example. Okay. 2 videographers. Some young guys, super talented, work with some amazing brands, big time brands. We're talking airlines, travel companies, those things. Super talented as videographers. And tried to get into the marketing thing, and it wasn't their game. It's storytelling, and also they star in some of their own videos, so they become the characters in their own kind of productions, really, right? Yeah. Young guys, mid-20s, they had this question of people coming towards them, of going, how did you guys get these massive brands? How did you get brand deals? And they were like, it's easy. But, everything's easy once you've gotten out.
Once you crack the code.
and then so there's people coming towards them and saying, how did you do this? I'm a creative. I've been on Instagram. I've been on YouTube. I'm making stuff. I'm just not getting paid for it. And I don't know much longer I can go. And then there's the factor of people like, how do you make videos? How do you do videos? How do you do good video? Videos are a big trend at the moment, and people are capitalizing on it. So they've got 2 different opportunities: teach people how to do the thing they're doing, or teach people how to do the thing they've done. And that's really, when it comes down to it, and when I show this contrast to our clients, that's the 2 choices people need to make. So they've chosen to show people how to do the thing they've done. So they now have a program delivered with leverage. They give everything everybody needs, including access to them, coaching, community, and customization, as we call it, to help creatives get their first brand deal. On the other side, we have another videographer, Jamie, who has had exactly the same conversations and exactly the same questions. Great brands, great deal, great people, big name, you know, famous for making great videos. But brands come to him and say, we can't afford you. How do we do this? So his Video Pro program teaches them how to do it. So one of my teaching mechanisms in this is I say, do you want to help people climb the mountain? Do you want to help people do the thing they've done? Or do the thing you've done? Or do you want to help teach people to fish to teach people to do the thing you're doing? Because when it comes down to it, there's only two choices.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazingly simple way to structure it. And like you're speaking my language, of course, on figuring out how to align the offer to something that's meaningful to them, because that doesn't get asked enough. That question doesn't get asked enough.
It doesn't, does it? Why do you think that is? Why? Because this fascinates me, and it's a conversation we have all the time that, you know, because we have a lot of people coming to us who've done well they've been given a template to do something and they've made a lot of money out of it, but it's feeling a bit off. They did it for money and now they've got money and they were like, oh, it's kind of the thing.
I really think that, I really think that most of business is about understanding that fine line between how much is templated and how much are core principles that you need to embody and then do. So many people are out there going, well, I created a course and it was amazing and I made tons of money. But you and I both know hundreds, probably thousands of people who created courses and it was it was garbage. Like it didn't sell a thing. So what's the difference between the two? Is it the skill set? Is it no, it really does come down to, I think, the question that you kind of pose to your clients, which is what would align best with you and what you want to do and the kinds of things that you want to give back to the world. And for some people, course may be the right vehicle for that. I happen to think that to truly create transformation in people's lives, you need more than that. But that's just me, you know. But I think that a lot of it is I followed a template. It took me so far. It wasn't good. You know, it's not the core principles. I don't really understand, you know, all the core principles on what's happening there. I think that's it. I think, you know, business, it comes down to understanding the core principles and then applying the principles rather than just a template. So, but that's just, that's what I think's happening. Yeah. So those were you got those three amazing examples of offers that you're helping people create who are typically in the service business. Do you mind walking us through your way of going through that process? What does your process look like for helping them out?
So the very first process is understanding, you know, there's a lot of conversations about personal brand these days.
Yeah.
The core of market, you know, and what's your process and what do you stand for? You know, and once you have a framework to communicate to the market and you get out of this idea that it's just all about a coaching program or services or those things, it gives you a lot more options because you have a way to communicate those things. So the first step is always helping them unpack that existing knowledge and building into a framework and a methodology about how they orientate themselves towards the market to give them something to talk about. And then it's building an offer and asking those questions around there. You know, do you want massive levels of leverage, you know, completely hands off, or do you want something that's higher ticket, has a higher element of customization, whether it's through services or one-on-one or group coaching, and the process delivering that. So that enables our clients to really, you know, craft and hone offers from anywhere from a few $100s to hundreds of thousands of dollars once we get those distinctions. And the first thing our program is called the 2K code for a reason. What I have found repeatedly is the biggest thing that holds people back from doing something is the belief that they can actually do it themselves. So they need an objective marker to actually believe that they've got something good and they're happy to put themselves out there and talk about it and serve people. So we help them make their first $2,000.
Nice.
And many blow that out of the water with their very first client, and
Sure.
some of them, need 2 to 5 clients to kind of get there. Then we give them a problem, and the key thing of a client experience is you need to give your clients problems. We talked about this on our weekly coach yesterday with our clients, is that we need to give our clients a problem from scarcity to abundance. We need to give them a lot of sales and a lot of people to deliver to, so then they can focus on, okay, now I'm going to focus on delivery of quality of experience, quality of product, deliver to some clients, got some cash in the bank, and then we help them turn that into an evergreen proposition, build a funnel and do the traditional things so the calendar is filling up with people. Yes. So all along the way, we're essentially giving them the things they need at each particular stage to raise their confidence, taking them from really scarcity to abundance in a place of like, I need to believe that I can do this. And as soon as that strike payment hits, and as soon as that, you've got your friends cheering from the sidelines finally, because you're finally stepping out there, it's amazing what it does to people's belief about who they are and what they've done. Because many people just don't understand that the things they've got through their job, some of those terrible, terrible times we've all been through, the things they've been through, the fire with clients, the things that they do every single day have value. So when they can see this clear thing, and this is one of the challenges of this online world, that so many things are esoteric and ones and zeros and bits and bytes, when they can see this clear thing, it gives them confidence to move forward.
Yeah. And it's transformational. I mean, I see that kind of transformation occurring all the time in everyone who can build a business. It's an amazing journey for them. All right. So kicking back off to I just want to dig in a little bit on what your message is, because you had said something earlier that I think is really interesting, which is, this is hard work. This is hard to sell. Yeah. So what do you find is the moment where people realize, hey, there's something else I could be doing here. There's another way to deliver services. How are you connecting? What are you finding that works? What's successful for you?
It is super challenging because you need to give people a vision, and you need to paint a picture of what this can potentially look like, and actually insert those ideas into their mind, that the things they already have, they're sitting on, their network, their skills, their talents, and all those things have an intersection. Yeah. Often the clearest path to that is something around their framework and something about their methodology. So we have to do a lot of storytelling. Because we work with people in close to 40 industries, unless people can get context, that they can't visualize what these things look like. So examples like, Jamie and Matt and Josh, the videographers and those things, draw a high contrast between people who are the same, but have deployed things in certain ways. Because I've got a lot of those stories where two accountants can approach things in a certain way, two consultants who are technically competition. There's no such thing, but we'll get onto that another day. Have approached things in different ways. So you have to give them a sense of belief and a sense of context by telling stories. My natural way of writing and copy, I've been doing videos, I've been writing, we looked the other day, I'd done 1,300 live streams on Facebook. I send a daily email to our subscribers and those things. My natural state is telling stories. And, I think there's, if people want to learn about how to codify these things, like Donald Miller's book is excellent at understanding how to frame up your clients as the hero of those stories. So, the only way that we know how to do it is tell stories about client success and show those. And also that also gets over that piece where no one's quite sure what to trust, because things are so goddamn easy to fake in the online world. But what you can't fake is telling someone's story and then turning up in that context in that story and commenting on that, or putting a video out there and saying that all these things happen. We've got a story here where someone is like, thank you so much. I think that yacht trip that I planned around the world with my family is 6 months closer than I thought it was, So it's about giving people context. And I think that's relevant to anybody who's trying to do something in the online world, because when we can't see and touch and feel something, we need to understand the context of how that's going to actually impact a person, and through storytelling and showing other people how other people have benefited from that. It's extremely effective.
Yeah. And I would imagine that your clients seeing themselves as the hero of their own story in and of itself moves the needle drastically in terms of creating that transformation they need to see in their own lives in order to execute this new business model.
Yeah. And I think this is unique to us because the online world is full of big promises. Go get to 7 figures with no skills or experience tomorrow, right? But you know what? I found the opposite. A series of small promises is much more effective and believable for people to sequence through. So we have, objective and subjective small promises. We will help you make your first 2K. That's our promise. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
What's the next step after that? Where do you want to go? Now we understand what their vision is.
Right.
Okay, well, the next step isn't making $1 million.
Right.
The next step is getting to 10K a month consistently.
Right.
Because then you have, goodness me, a business.
Right.
And you have an offer that you can run from anywhere, do anything with a 6-figure income. Okay. And you and me know that the dirty secret is taking someone from 10K to 50K when they've got a great offer is really not easy. Right? You up level the detail, you get a bit more consistent with the marketing. It's tweaking the dials of what they've already got. Don't tell anyone. Then it's that, okay, what do you want this business to be to the world?
Yeah.
Then you need to start thinking about more sophistication around their offers, community elements, but also you need to work on the human, because what are they going to do with this newfound time, abundance, freedom, and choice? Because that's something that I didn't appreciate.
Yeah.
Dude, I made $1 million sitting in a basement in New Zealand with me and a cell phone. And I thought that money would solve everything. And God damn, it didn't.
Yeah.
And because I've been through that experience, I know that we both need to up-level the business, which in this day and age of leverage and distribution and connectivity is actually simple with the right structure.
Right.
But we need to level the person, because we've created problems that they didn't have before. And a good program at its core creates problems that people didn't know that they had. So you can then continually solve them for somebody until you run out of problems to solve. But unfortunately, that never happens.
Again, this theme of transformation. I mean, that really is true. I think a lot of people don't realize that with a transformation in how you interact with the world in terms of your business has such an impact on who you are as a human being. It is something that I think a lot of people don't appreciate. Question I want to ask you specifically, because you've been through this journey and you've got experience with this and you're working with experienced folks. What is the one thing that you wish you knew going into this that if somebody had just given you that secret ahead of time, would have saved you a lot of pain and suffering along the way?
I've got a confession to make. I cheated at this because someone asked me on an interview yesterday this question. It's that having a single amazing offer can change everything.
Mm. Yeah.
That the offer doesn't matter what it's called. Like, I don't care if you call it a course or a program or a service or an experience or whatever.
Right.
That a single offer can change everything. That our job as people serving a market is to go through complexity so our clients don't have to. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, that's it. What's the simplest way to solve the billions of problems on the face of the earth? Right. And when you find out that, everything returns to one, all the things that you're told you must do, you should do, that you have to have this business model, that you have to be marketing on this channel, that you have to build your business like this, fall away into this beauty of clarity and simplicity. You know what? I haven't we need to memorialize this because I haven't listened to my own advice enough over the years. Because you remember that very first offer I made. I helped e-commerce businesses grow using experience that I had in the e-commerce space.
Right.
And I went to build complexity, and then I built more stuff, and I did more offers, and I did more things in a quest to grow. Yeah. It took me 18 months to come back full circle and say that it's about one thing. It's about one great offer, one great experience, solving one problem extremely well and being world-class at it. And that will change everything in your life as long as you're prepared to go on the journey as well.
Well, I would say you've internalized that, because you and I had a conversation not long ago where I think you memorialized the feeling. You should probably trademark this now with the, you're one offer away, not whatever else someone else said. But
so I think he's doing great work, but yeah, I think your one offer away is much more true than your one funnel away.
Well, and the way that you've described offers, you've kind of bundled the elements together into the creation of the simplicity, and it really does take, I think, someone with experience and knowledge to take something complicated and make it simple, to create simplicity out of the chaos, to create a simple path for your client to walk through. That's actually hard work. That's not easy.
It's really hard work. It's taken a while. It's taken a long time. It's taken some mea culpa moments along the way where where the question had to be shifted around to understand that I was asking the wrong question of myself and our team. It's what can we take away rather than what can we add. And in a world that's constantly chasing more, that is a challenging reframe of that question. More, you just want more. How do you get more? Will you add more? It's a flawed way of thinking that isn't really our fault to do it, but we've fallen into the trap of more is more. And it turns out those all chases.
Yeah, that it is less is more. The more is more thing definitely is not that is, I think, a false principle. Well, James, I know you're a busy guy and we are out of time. Unfortunately, you and I could talk like this for hours, I'm sure, because
probably. I'll see you next week then.
Right,
we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep riffing.
Exactly. But thanks so much for being with us. I really appreciate it. For those of the listeners who want to connect with you, what's the best way they can do that? Is there some way they can kind of kick off a conversation with you online?
Website.
And okay, so if people want to connect with you, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Facebook. It's where I have the most conversations. It's the most real me in the online space.
Not Instagram. So they shouldn't go to Instagram.
Not Instagram. I'm moving into being a selfie king, but I'm not quite there yet. Look me up on Facebook. I'm the guy who looks like he lives in a warm tropical country. So I'm not difficult to spot. Sleeves are overrated.
Probably. I'm sure they are. They should be overrated for me too. Like we're today, just as we're recording this broadcast, I think we're over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, like into the mid 40s Celsius. So it's a little warm here too. So.
We need more gun show, Frank. We need more gun show.
There you go. I'll make sure to do that next time. Next time we do a call, I'll sport the tank top. James, thanks so much for spending time with us. I really appreciate it.
Okay, brother. Always good to chat.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being with us today on this episode. We know that you're super busy. So if you're spending time with us, we're really honored that you've dedicated the time to listen to this. And thanks so much for hanging in. We will catch you on the next episode. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.